Hi, I'm Clint Jukkala. I'm Chair of Graduate Programs from PAFA, Pennsylvania Academy of the Fine Arts.
And I'm Jodi Throckmorton. I'm the Curator of Contemporary Art at the Museum at PAFA. And it is our absolute pleasure to be here to present an example of a project that gave us many opportunities to collaborate at PAFA. It created collaborations that crossed disciplines and moved inside and outside of the institution. And it all started with Harry Philbrick, the director of the museum. He approached the school about an exciting opportunity to work with Aiko, who you see here in this wonderful image. Born and raised in Japan, Aiko is a New York-based movement artist who for the last 40 years has worked as part of the performance duo Aiko and Coma. Aiko has recently commenced work on a solo project, which provided an excellent opportunity for us to collaborate with her. Her work is very much about the body and space with a focus on movement and performance. And perhaps as many of you know, PAFA has a very long tradition of figuration and of exploring ideas about the body and space. But this has largely been done through traditional medium like painting, drawing, and sculpture. Aiko's work connects with PAFA's figurative tradition, yet challenges and expands how students conceive of the body. And PAFA actually presented two elements from Aiko's solo series, which is titled A Body in Places. One part that you see here on the screen is a more traditional exhibition of photography that documents Aiko's performance in Fukushima, Japan, where she placed her body in damaged landscapes and abandoned train stations. Connecting that performance with Philadelphia directly, PAFA also presented a series of performances with Aiko in 30th Street train station. The 3-hour-long performances took place over the course of 4 consecutive Fridays in October. The first began at noon and ended at 3. The last began at 9 p.m. and ended at midnight. Thus, the entire performance spanned a 12-hour period. Aiko's body really became the point of intersection for all parts of this project. More practically as teacher and, as she describes it, actually as agitator, which fits wonderfully with your presentation, but also as a vulnerable medium between public and private. And she said she has a wonderful quote about the project where she says, "I want my body to be a conduit that connects the grandeur of 30th Street Station to the desolation of the abandoned stations in Fukushima, as well as the station in the museum gallery. Through a body, memory, and imagination, distance is malleable."
We were very excited about this project at the school. It was a chance to collaborate with the museum in a meaningful way. It was a chance to engage our history with figuration and try to expand it and broaden it in a way. And it was a chance to work with Aiko, who's a natural collaborator. Right away, we thought about the possibility of connecting the work at PAFA that Aiko did with University of the Arts in Philadelphia because of their strong programming in performing arts. It was interesting that they have a strong programming in performing arts, and we have a very strong program in visual arts, and getting those two things together was an exciting opportunity. Aiko already had a contact at UArts, Donna Faye Birchfield, who's the director of dance, and Donna was able to set up a class for Aiko to teach. At PAFA, and that was an image of the dance class at UArts. At PAFA, we had Aiko do a series of workshops with students, undergraduate and graduate, of movement workshops. These workshops were an opportunity for students to think about their body and space in a new way, and to even consider movement as a medium. PAFA students are very familiar with working from the figure. This is a early 1900s photograph of a women's painting class at PAFA. Working from the model is still very much part of the curriculum. We even have an animal drawing class that's still on the books and actively taught with alligators and horses and the like. Aiko invited students to come and draw from her at the train station, and it presented a number of new opportunities for the students. She encouraged them to think about nakedness. Aiko was fully clothed, but she was a vulnerable, exposed individual in a public place. Through drawing Aiko in movement, students were thinking about drawing what the body does rather than what the body looks like. The work that Aiko did with UArt students and PAFA students culminated in a move and draw workshop that happened 2 nights ago at the PAFA Museum. And for the workshop, Aiko invited her UArt students to the PAFA Museum to do a movement exploration exercise, and PAFA students were invited to draw from the dancers. 2 faculty members from PAFA, Michael Moore and Jan Baltzell, were there to help facilitate the drawing. Aiko functioned as both teacher and performer. She helped set up her class's performance, and then she joined them. She interacted with the students. The PAFA students, you can see drawing in the bottom left corner there, moved around the space as well. They weren't in one fixed position. They were encouraged to, again, think about drawing what the body does rather than simply drawing what the body looks like, and think about drawing the form from the inside out and letting the dancers' movements sort of motivate their drawing activity. This performance took place in the gallery in front of Aiko's photographs that you can see there, and it also went into the lobby space, which faces Broad Street, a busy street where the museum entrance is, and you can see students also up into the stairs there. The performance ended with Aiko asking her dance students to select drawings that they were interested in, and they pulled the drawings together, got the dancers and the artists together, and talked about what had happened and what they had in front of them. For the drawers, it was a chance to really think about the physical movement of the dancers in relation to the physical movement of drawing. It was a chance for them to, again, draw a body in motion and draw multiple bodies in motion. Some students commented that it was almost as if the dancers pulled the drawings out of the drawers, which was interesting. For the performers, they felt that dancing, moving, while being keenly observed really changed things for them. They felt engaged in a different way than they were used to.
And happily, we've already started to receive some feedback about the collaboration. This is a quote from a UArts dance student, and she says that this was unlike anything I've ever experienced before. It was entirely different from any performance I've done or even what we've worked on in class. And she even goes on to say that you are right when you said that we would remember this when we are 72. I am certain I will never forget it. Thank you for making this possible. And also, it's really wonderful because Aiko has said that she's really benefited from the collaboration as well. In fact, she's been rather giddy to us in her feedback. So here you see her in dialogue with PAFA Professor Michael Moore. One of the elements is she says she loves to put her art, her movement in front of a visual arts audience rather than necessarily the typical modern dance crowd. And she noted that this type of collaboration will likely pervade her practice in the many years to come. So while that's all lovely and rosy, and it was, and it is, we did confront some challenges and we learned some lessons. Number one is probably the way that the school and museum work together. If you'll notice in the image, the students are using charcoal, which in a museum gallery is not something that the registrars want to see. But we were able to come up with a compromise about where the students were allowed to draw with charcoal, which really satisfied Aiko's need and the students as well.
Aiko's actually sitting, Aiko and the students are sitting on platforms there that had parts of the exhibition. So Aiko's really kind of a renegade, and she just like reorganized the exhibition for this to happen. On the school side, we learned things as well. We dealt with some of these considerations that have come up over the last couple of days of extracurricular versus curricular, credit bearing versus non-credit bearing. Ultimately, for us at PAFA, it made more sense and worked better to have Aiko's work with the students to be non-credit bearing. It allowed her to do several one-day workshops. Students could go to one, they could go to many. Students who weren't so sure if they'd be interested could have a little experience without signing up for a whole class. At UArts, they approached it through a credit-bearing course, and that made more sense for them. Ultimately, we would love to have a class happen between the two institutions. It's hard sometimes to get a credit-bearing class that crosses departments, let alone institutions, and I think that that will take more time and work to make that happen. But the one evening collaboration actually happened fairly easily and was extraordinarily successful. And I'll point out, too, that this is a Marcus Lindenbrick mural that you're seeing through the doors of the Broad Street entrance of the PAFA Museum.
And as we were doing this, we were considering various ways in which AICAD could help facilitate these types of collaborations. One idea is that a central calendar on the AICAD website where different institutions could input their schedule of visiting artists. So we realized, so that schools could coordinate and share resources. We realized that in a city like Philadelphia that has 3 AICAD schools, this is easier. But for example, if a West Coast artists were visiting RISD, then perhaps something could be coordinated to visit the Maine College of Art or something like that more regionally.
A couple of other ideas, and these sort of our ideas I think overlap a bit with some of the Cranbook ideas that were just presented, but if we had on the AICAD site a virtual online resource where we could post videos of artist lectures, performances, workshops that all schools could share in. And a third idea that I think links a little bit with the fellowship idea that Cranbrook mentioned is an AICAD fund for visiting artists and projects. If a school or schools got together and proposed a project that benefited many AICAD schools, maybe that would merit funding, and again would encourage collaboration. So we're closing with a video from Thursday night's performance in the PAFA Museum, and you see Aiko there to the left standing on the pedestal, students drawing, students performing, buses going by outside the window. It was kind of an exciting space because it also brought in the public, people walking by would encounter it as well. So we appreciate the opportunity to share these ideas and our experiment in collaboration that has happened at PAFA this term, unfolding in real time up until 2 days ago. Thank you.
Thank you.